This week, we learned that God of War 2 is going to be delayed by Sony. It had an original release window of 2021, and it has now been delayed to sometime in 2022, as confirmed by Sony Santa Monica. This is not a huge surprise, but it did come with an additional caveat that while Horizon Forbidden West is still aiming for a 2021 holiday release date, it's the language they're using is a little kind of uncertain. Like they say they think that it'll make it out by then, and like things like they're hoping it'll make it out by then. And in the world of AAA games, that does not really seem to be inspiring much confidence, shall we say. The question is whether or not this really matters. On the one hand, this would leave Sony without a kind of truly major holiday release for the PS5. If God of War and Horizon are not coming out in 2021 anymore, that leaves kind of a blank hole opening for what should be a kind of prime game selling time. A lot of the biggest releases of the year come out during the holiday. And yet we are also in a very unique situation here where ultimately I'm not sure this matters given where we are now. The PS5 has not had any trouble at all selling even before all of these major games have gotten here, even when it launched with just a very small handful of true exclusive games. It is sold out at every turn. We are months and months into release now, and these shortages that have come up as a result of parts missing from kind of pandemic level production issues and things like that. They've affected all consoles, but Sony in particular. They have managed to make the PS5 the fastest selling console of all time, and they still cannot meet the demand that is coming out with enough supply. So either way, the PS5 is going to sell out during the holiday season. That much is pretty clear by now. You may also be able to say that about the Xbox Series X and the Nintendo Switch and the alleged Nintendo Switch Pro that will likely also be out by then. These shortages are going to continue impacting the console player base for a long time, at least the rest of this year and possibly into next year. So even though it would kind of not be great for Sony to lose Horizon Forbidden West during this launch window, if it does happen, I don't think it's the end of the world. It does not need to be this kind of big controversial story. And I do not think it would quite be on the same level as when Xbox Series X delayed Halo Infinite for an entire year. That was a little different because that was supposed to be the launch game of the Xbox Series X, and ultimately even as big of a deal as that was, didn't really hurt the Series X all that much. Yes, it has lacked exclusive games for a while now, but it is still performing extremely well. It seems to be launching better than the Xbox One, as so far as we know. And Sony's delay of Horizon, if that does happen into, say, early 2022, spring or something like that, should not really have any impact on whether people want a PS5 or not. These kinds of exclusive games are often touted as system sellers, and yet we are at a point in the console industry where these systems are selling themselves. And there are enough third-party games that are running on usually both generations, but the better performing version is on the new generation. That there's going to be plenty of games to play across both of these consoles, and they are hugely in demand. So no matter what happens with these delays, there are not going to be enough PS5s to go around, and probably not enough of any of the consoles really come holiday season, because these shortages do not seem to be going away. So I think the player base has accepted that delays happen, especially among larger games, and no one is going to be too broken up about games like Horizon and God of War being delayed. Even if they want to play them, everyone understands that it's a better proposition to have a finished game as opposed to a very broken game that has come out earlier than it should have, and which we have seen many times, of course. not to name names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So either way, I hope Horizon makes it out, and if it does, that will be great. But if not, I do not think it's going to change Sony's prospects for the holiday season in any meaningful capacity at all. So I expect there will be more delays to come. More big series are going to get delayed out of this year because, in addition to kind of supply shortages with consoles, on the software side, we are seeing the end result of the pandemic work from home system kind of catching up with game developers. And even though a lot of stuff did manage to make it out last year, the kind of effects of what went on in 2020 are impacting games now. So you are going to see more delays and across a huge variety of projects, not just Sony, all over the place. So expect that to happen. In the end, I think it'll work out, but we just might have to be a little patient.